So I was watching the news yesterday. I didn't get a chance to make a video yesterday, so I'll make one today. And Johnny Mercer, the Tory MP, former army officer, has said that he won't support the government. He won't vote for anything other than Brexit business. Surprise, surprise, he's one of those. Unless the government ceases prosecuting British soldiers based on old charges from former conflicts. So what really struck me is, what message does this attitude actually send? Johnny Mercer, what he's saying to me, is sending two messages. The first message is to us, the citizens of Britain, and to any soldiers serving or any people considering serving in the army. And that message is basically the British Army can do whatever the fuck it wants and there should be no consequences. They should be above the law. They should be beyond prosecution for any crimes they may commit, as long as they commit them under the name of Britain and under the name of the Queen and under the name of the British government. So that is almost fascistic in its rhetoric. You can do anything you like so long as you say it in our name, in the name of the state, in the name of the Queen, in the name of the government. That's the first message I think he's actually sending. He did go on LBC and spoke to Nick Ferrari, and he said nobody should be above the law, but it was just, to me, that was just slick politics language, politician language to say, I'm just trying to make this look better than it actually is. But that to me is the first message he's sending. Second message he's sending is to anybody, civilian or combatant, involved in overseas conflicts against the United Kingdom. So anybody in Ireland, for instance, where most of these charges, most of these prosecutions are coming out of the troubles in the IRA. Anybody in Ireland, anybody in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, anybody, anywhere Britain is involved or has been involved militarily. And that message is, again, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We're Britain. Our soldiers can come in, they can shoot you in the back, they can rape, they can murder your civilians, they can do what they like, they can steal from you, take from your home. And there are war crimes for a reason, Mr. Mercer. There are war crimes for a reason. If a British soldier on duty in the Troubles shoots a 12-year-old girl in the back, which has happened, he should be held fully accountable for his crimes under a military court, if not a civilian one. That is my perspective. No soldier should be above the law. And I'm not a soldier, I've never served in the army. So maybe I'm getting this all wrong. Maybe I'm, coming at this from a wrong perspective. But as a civilian, as a British taxpayer, as a British voter, I just wanted to say that nobody, soldier, civilian, policeman, nobody should be above the law of the United Kingdom. If you shoot a 12-year-old girl in the back, you should be held fully accountable. If you go in to an Afghanistani or a Syrian house or a home and you rape a woman, you should be fully accountable. They are, as I just said, there are war crimes for a reason. Shooting a 12-year-old girl in the back is a war crime. Raping a civilian woman is a war crime. Shooting unarmed civilians is a war crime. Even if you shoot an unarmed combatant, that is a war crime. And it's there for a reason. It's to stop people letting the power and letting the fact that they have guns and friends at their back get to their head. And it's to stop the United Kingdom becoming a state that is seen as despotic, that is seen as brutal. Because we go to these countries and we fight the IRA, we fight ISIS, we fight Al-Qaeda, we fight these groups because on the surface of it, the rhetoric is we're fighting these groups because they're savage, because they're heinous. They commit acts against civilians. They kill innocent people. And yes, many of them do. So we need to show that we are better than that. We need to show that we're above them morally. We're better than them. So when we go out and when we deploy our armed forces overseas, or even in our own country, in Ireland, we need to show that we are better than the enemy. We need to stop. We need to, if any of our soldiers does anything like this, shoots a civilian, rapes a woman, we need to hold them fully accountable. Because then what we're doing is we're saying to our armed forces and our civilians, and we're saying to civilians in the enemy lands, we do not tolerate that shit. We do not put up with our soldiers raping, killing indiscriminately being savages. Our soldiers are out there to help. This is the rhetoric that is used widely whenever the UK goes to war, is that our army is going out there to help someone, to help the civilians of that country, to free that land, to give it democracy, or whatever it is. We need to hold ourselves to that and prove to ourselves and prove to the world that we are better than the enemy we are fighting. What we don't need is rhetoric that says our soldiers are above the law. When they go to Ireland, or when they go to Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, or wherever else it may be, that they can do what they like. That's not the rhetoric that we need, because that is the rhetoric that the IRA uses. That is the rhetoric that ISIS uses. That is the rhetoric that Assad uses in Syria. That is the rhetoric of every dictator in history. As long as you are doing it for your country, for the motherland, for the fatherland, for the queen, for the king, for whatever, for the emperor, as long as you're doing it for them, for the state, for the party, then it's okay. You go ahead, you rape that woman, you shoot that child in the back, you cut off that civilian's head. We need to hold ourselves and hold our army accountable, and to hold them to a higher standard. We need to make it clear. War crimes are not acceptable. Not okay. Never okay. And if a soldier is accused of a war crime, they should be put on trial. Charges should be levied against them. They should have a fair trial like everybody else does when they commit a crime. If I go out and I kill someone today, I'll be in front of a judge and a jury, and all the evidence will be presented in front of them, and I'll be given a fair trial based on the evidence, based on what happened, based on eyewitness testimonies and everything else. And they will then decide whether I did it or whether I didn't do it, and they will pass a sentence accordingly. Our soldiers should be no different. If they're accused of shooting a civilian, they should be held accountable. There should be all the evidence in front to determine whether they're guilty, whether they're innocent, whether that killing was justified. If a police officer, for instance, even in the US, which has the highest rate of police fatalities and stuff, if they shoot a civilian, all the evidence is laid out in front of the respective juries, in front of the respective judges, and it is laid out and it's presented, and they look at this and they say, yes, that killing was lawful, or no, that killing was not lawful, and then they act accordingly. Okay, fair enough. In the US, there's a large amount of cases where the officer is just suspended with pay and nothing else happens. But at least they're setting the bar. They're setting something to say to the public, we're holding our police accountable. At least they're making half an effort. Johnny Mercer doesn't want the UK to make any effort when it comes to our soldiers shooting civilians or being accused of war crime. He wants them to just let it go, because it was done in the name of the state. It was done in the name of the Queen. No. We need to prove we're better than the tyrants. That's all. I'll see you in the next video.